Welcome guys. Today I'll be talking about how I managed to get into one of the most expensive markets in the Metro Atlanta area, and I was able to live for free. Well, able to live for free. So pretty much I did this through house hacking. And what house hacking is when you pretty much just buy a home and rent the rooms to people, or you can find a multi-family home, like a duplex, triplex, and you would just rent one of the units out and you would live in another one. If you do the math correctly, you could eventually live for free or even cash flow some money. At the very least, reduce your expenses drastically, at least for living. Okay, so I'm gonna be covering how I made this happen and a deep dive at the numbers, because this is my current situation. So I'm pretty much talking about from my experience, what I have done. All right, so how I pulled it off. I was able to put 3% down towards the purchase of my home. And this is, I believe, a conventional loan. And my house was around 270,000. So 3% of that is, I don't know, maybe 8,000 bucks, 10,000 with closing costs. So it's not that expensive to get into a house. And if you live in lower price markets, then it's even cheaper. All right, so that's how I got the financing. I also wanted to find a place that was close to work, because I just have graduated and I got a job in Alpharetta, Georgia. So I wanted a short commute. And the things that I looked for was the proximity to work. But the other things that I looked at was how much rent I could get in the specific area. The higher the rent, the better. Population growth, that's something that's very important. It will play a lot with your appreciation. If there's a lot of people moving into the area, that's going to increase demand for homes, and that's going to increase the price of homes. School rating, that's very important for families. Other things that I looked was job diversity. I wanted a place that had many different kinds of jobs. Like, think of Detroit. When the auto industry failed, the town just became a ghost town. You don't want that. You want many places. You want a place that has many different jobs, right? Software engineering, civil engineering, doctor, nurses. So you can always have somebody to rent to. And I want a low crime index. Nobody wants to live in an area they don't feel safe, right? So the area that I ended up with was in also Alpharetta, Georgia. And I ended up getting a single family home with 3 stories. So it had a basement and then a first and second floor. And the way it worked is that the basement had its own kitchen, its own bed, its own laundry room, its own room, so in its own exit. So if I was going to put a tenant down there, I wouldn't have to interact with them at all. And the first and second floor, I was going to live there with my wife. So that's what I ended up buying. And now let's talk about the numbers. So for the principal, you got 485 bucks. Interest is 541 that I pay on the loan, and taxes and insurance are around $230 a month. Total comes out to 1,257 bucks. And this does not include, the utilities that I have to pay and the maintenance that I have to, do. When something breaks, I do have to fix it. For the profit, I have $1,400 that the tenant downstairs is paying me, the one that lives in the basement and the ones that I don't interact or see. And we are actually living in the first and the second unit, me and my wife, and there is a family member living in one of the rooms, and we're charging $300 because, it's a family member, but I could get around 700 to 600 bucks for one room in this area. So that leaves me around $450 and left over. If you do 1,250, if you subtract that from 1,700, you have 450 bucks. So I pretty much live for free. My mortgage gets paid, and I have $450 left over. I use that money just for maintenance and for the utilities. Another thing that is worth mentioning is that I bought this house with the intention of living someday. I'm just going to buy another home with 3% down and just keep doing this till I'm just happy with the amount of money that I'm getting from cash flow. So if I leave this home, I could rent the upstairs for around $2,000. Downstairs can get rented for still $1,400, and that leaves me around $2,150 of leftover, I guess, gross money. And I'm just gonna take a couple, like $400 off maybe, just for maintenance and capital expenses, all that stuff. So it leaves me around $1,750 a month from just owning this house once I leave. All right, other stuff that was not taken into account, and we have to talk about the principal pay down. As long as you make those mortgage payments, the loan is getting smaller every month, and eventually it's gonna get paid off. So that's another source of income that you're getting from this. Interest on your loan and the taxes that you pay to the government, the property taxes, that's a tax write-off, as well as home depreciation. And what depreciation is pretty much like, think of a car. As long as when you buy a new car, let's say you bought it for $30,000, 5 years from now, it's no longer worth $30,000. It's probably worth like half the price, $15,000. That's depreciation. It's just the loss of value, I guess, of an asset. And that can be also applied to homes. But homes kind of do the opposite of cars. They kind of appreciate as time goes by. But the government thinks of homes as a depreciating asset, and that could be another tax write-off. One of the biggest builders of wealth is appreciation. So the national average for appreciation is only 3.7% nationwide for homes. But you need to think about that. Let's just round it up to 4%. That 4% is not applying to your down payment. So let's say on a $300,000 home, you put down 3%, so $9,000. It's not 4% of $9,000. What is that, $360? That's how much you're getting a year. That's not how it works. The 4% is actually on the home value. So if you bought it for $300,000 and the house is valued at $300,000, 4% of $300,000 is $12,000. And this hasn't been the case for me. Like, if you actually buy in an area that has population growth, a low crime index, good schools, the stuff that I talked about earlier in the video, you can probably get a lot higher appreciation. And 20 and 21 has been huge for market appreciation. My home was bought in 2020 and it's been appreciated, I don't know the percentage, but appreciated like around 90 to 100,000. And that was a year and a half of owning it. So that's pretty ridiculous. And there's many things you can do with that appreciation. Like, oh yeah, like you had to sell it to get that money out. That's not necessarily true. You can get a home equity line of credit, which is just a credit card that you can use. Your car is pretty much, your house is the collateral, and you just get like maybe $80,000 to $90,000 as a credit card. Well, at least for my equity. You can actually take out a second loan on the house and get access to that money. You can use it to buy another property. I'm thinking of using maybe a equity line of credit to buy an Airbnb or a short-term rental, just to make quicker money. So you can do a lot of stuff with appreciation. It's not just sitting there. All right, guys. So you can see the real power that comes with house hacking. Many millionaires started this way. It leaves you so much free money that you can use to invest into something else and grow your net worth. And the appreciation in your house, you can use it to buy more houses or put money in the stock market, buy crypto, whatever you want to do. I'm hoping this information was helpful. And if you guys are interested in like a step-by-step guide of how to do this, like for example, what software I use to figure out rents at a specific area, what software I use to figure out population growth trends and all that stuff, please leave a comment telling me that you want me to make one of those videos, and I'll make a playlist on how to do all of that. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. I'll see you in the next one.